My first drink of the new year. And that is a great way to start. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nintendo Shack. My name is Donnie Reese. I'm one of the co-hosts, or co-companions here at the Nintendo Shack podcast, a proud member of the PSVG Podcast Network. Jason Lacey was going to join us this evening, but he's been detained by life and probably a miserable snowstorm. I know he lives up there in the north, and apparently everybody's just getting draped and covered in it. But never fear, a challenger approaches. We've brought Jacob back. Jacob Rush,
hey.
Old special guest from Nintendo Nostalgia. How are you, man?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on. I'm real excited, and I guess the real reason, I mean, everyone heard I was coming on, so they bailed at the last moment. What I'm thinking really happened. Like, oh, I'm out.
They got out of there as soon as they, oh, no, never mind. No, we're good.
Oh, something came up. Sorry, man. No, thanks for having me, though. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you back, man. It's been a long time coming. We constantly talk to each other. I was at one point I was scheduled to go on your show, and it didn't really work, but we sent Caro over to fill in for the Shack, to represent the Shack nicely. I enjoyed that show. We're going to have
you on. We're still going to get you on early this year. I was actually thinking about today some solid time frame. We could pencil you down. We're going to do Mario 3 this year. Mario Bros. 3 with you.
It's one of my favorites. One of my favorites. All right. Tonight's show, I hope, is good. I got to say, I have been working nonstop for the better part of 12 or 13 straight days. I got 4 more to go before I get a couple of days off. So I hadn't actually played a whole lot, which is great. Because last week, coming off a Christmas vacation, I talked way too long about all the things I was playing on the PSVG pod, which included a bunch of Nindies. So if you wanted to hear things about that, you should listen to that show. You can go listen to that show. So I'm not going to spend too much time. So Jacob, I'd like to ask you, man, you got a game or two you've been playing on Switch you'd like to tell people about?
Absolutely, and I don't think you're going to like it because listening to the show, there are games that you don't really seem too fond of. If you know me, I really am. I love my show's all about nostalgia, so I think what heightens the nostalgia is waiting for key moments to get games. So I do get games throughout the year, but not every game. So for Christmas, I specifically waited to get Mario Odyssey and Yooka-Laylee. My favorite style of game is a 3D platformer, and these two games have been. I mean, like I said, I waited, and you would think that I don't care too much about it, but no, these are my most hyped games that I've wanted to play all year, especially Yooka-Laylee. For me personally, Banjo-Kazooie is my favorite game of all time, and a spiritual successor came out to it, and I've been waiting since 2015. Since that game before it was even announced, I started following Playtonic Games when there was rumors about them forming, and man, I tell you what. That's all I've played the past 2 weeks, really. I literally just about an hour ago, I beat Yooka-Laylee. I 100% of the game. I beat it completely. So I'm on this high right now.
That's the perfect time to have you on the Shack, man.
Yeah. I'm super excited about it. I really enjoyed the game. As I played through the game, I made a lot of pros and cons lists on my phone. I would type things in what I didn't like. Because this game is trying to live up and be the spiritual successor to my favorite game of all time. To this day, Banjo-Kazooie.
Wow.
So I took a lot of issue with things. And it's really funny. And we're going to do a full episode of spoilers on my show here in a week or two. But I will say this. My cons list for the Yooka-Laylee game is bigger than my pros list. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day,
you loved
at the
it
end
anyway.
of the game, I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to anybody. I just have a lot of things. I'm not just judging it as a game alone. I'm judging it to what it came out to stand up to, and that you're comparing it to Banjo-Kazooie.
I think that's because you're as big a fan as you are. Like when you get super into a genre, a game, a series, you start treating it harder than you treat other games. I reviewed the Coma for the website a couple weeks ago over Christmas break. I was so light on that game. The game does so many things that a lot of people are dinging for, and I was like, it's an indie game, it's a cheap game,
Right.
And then you hear me review a Zelda game, and I get real in the weeds.
Right, yeah. And I was just talking to someone today about it. It's like Star Wars.
Yeah.
What I love about Star Wars is Star Wars was not something I grew up in a household that people liked. No one even watched it. My dad, my brothers, 3 older brothers. I only knew it through my friends. So Star Wars has been a franchise that I'm able to go and watch and truly just enjoy and not necessarily like be emotionally torn with what happens. So like everyone, a lot of people bash this latest movie, and then there's a lot of people that praise it.
Dude, I loved it so much.
I saw it and I enjoyed it, you know. But and I'm it's weird to say, but I'm thankful that I'm not such a diehard Star Wars fan because I can truly just go there and enjoy it. Now, I was like Jurassic World 2 when that comes out, like I'm a big Jurassic Park fan, and like that world, dude, it hit so many nostalgic buttons from the first movie. I loved it.
Nice.
So I'll be picky about when World 2 comes out this coming summer. So yeah, I mean that's how I feel about Yuka.
I got Yuka questions here.
Yes.
3D platformers are not my favorite games. There are some that I really, really, really do enjoy. Mario 64, I enjoyed Mario 3D World. I really like that one. I seem to be a real higher on that one, I think, many people. With Yuka, I know that Kevin and I share some complaints. My number one complaint, correct me if I'm wrong, that game is $40 on Switch, right?
Yes.
It's $40 after it's already come out on the other platforms and been discounted several times before it made its way over here. Do you feel like that's high? Would you advise other people to go in at 40?
I'll say go in at 40 because I want Playtonic to be successful and just buy it, and I want it to be successful on Nintendo.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell. I mean, I want everyone to buy it. No.
All right. Let's put it this way: if there's somebody out there that, let's say, they consider themselves a banjo fan. They like banjo. $40 too much?
No.
Okay.
I don't see how.
Okay.
If you want a trip back to Banjo-Kazooie, you should get the game.
Okay.
$40 is the right price. But yeah, I do agree with you. I mean, I bought it because my number one game I wanted. So, but it is. If you've heard my complaints about it, I thought Playtonic released the game way too early. It was not ready. You saw all the criticism from it on all the other platformers, and they had to put a massive update out. No game should have to have that much updates. You know, like that's what Nintendo does the best. How many times did Breath of the Wild get delayed? We heard about it for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
and they kept delaying it to where it won Game of the Year. It's so polished. Mario Odyssey is so polished. They should have never released that game without it being polished. They say the Switch version is the most polished version of the game. That's great, yeah, because it took you almost an entire year to get the Switch version out. And if you would have just waited with the other systems, maybe a lot more people would be singing its praises right now. So it's bogus that it's cheaper on other systems. I was talking to Kevin just yesterday about that, actually, trying to persuade him to buy it on the Switch.
It's always hard because, you've got that portable tax, like, I know there's a lot of games for me. It's like, oh yeah, man, I kind of want to play it portably. Like I held out on Skyrim. That's a game I have been playing. I've been playing Skyrim on Switch, and it looks really good, especially when you dock it. It looks good even in portable for what it is. For it being a realistic open world game.
Yeah.
But I definitely think the Skyrim tax, if you would prefer to have something like that on the go, I think the juice is worth the squeeze. With Yuka, I'm probably going to play Yuka at some point because I'm interested in it. But I couldn't jump at 40. Like I'd be more tempted at like 25. It's kind of like in that Rayman thing for me. I'm like, I'll wait a little bit.
The one I think the most frustrating thing for me too is that all the other systems have it physically. Nintendo had the Nintendo fans. Let's be real here. This is a Nintendo style game. This like we said, inspired from Banjo-Kazooie. Even though it's owned by Rare, if you know your Rare history, that game was originally made by Rare for Nintendo. Like, does that make Nintendo
under that publishing arm? Yep.
Rare didn't make them and own the characters. Nintendo owned them. They back in the late '90s, they had them out and advertised just right with Donkey Kong and Mario, like toys and everything. And when Rare got bought by Microsoft, Nintendo gave them back Banjo-Kazooie as a parting gift. Like that's the legit history there. They gave them back Banjo-Kazooie. I wish they never did that. But they did. So now that's why you don't see Banjo on Nintendo anymore. But this game, I want a physical version of it, and we don't even have it. And the Nintendo fans had to wait the longest out of everybody.
To even get the version itself, yeah.
Yeah, and they said they had to release it now, so they only released it digitally so they could get it out the door. But I'm like,
what's the file size on it? Do you know?
I don't know. Off the top of my head, honestly.
How long did it take you to beat it?
It took me almost 37 hours.
Oh wow, so that's a meaty game. There's some game there.
I looked at while I was waiting for it. I was curious. I looked up the playtime to beat Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie, like 100% the game, get everything.
Mm-hmm.
On average, it takes people around 17 to 20 hours, and this game had more meat in it than those games, which was interesting. In
terms of, when you say complete the game, you're talking like post-game collectibles, collect-a-thon, getting everything.
100% everything.
I gotcha. Cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, as a big fan of it, I've been really mad about the process. I want to say mad, frustrated. Like, we didn't get pre-order bonuses like other people, all the other systems did.
Yeah, I mean, it really kind of feels like, it feels like the lesser offering, and it's at the highest price, and it's also so late. We kind of expected a long time ago. Like I was thinking we'd get Yuka in like first 6 months post, like before E3. I was like, oh, Switch launches in March. We're playing Yooka-Laylee in May. It's like, nope, you played at Christmas. It's like, well,
exactly.
Too many things have come out between now and then. I got other things to move on to.
Oh, so much, and plus they released it after Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
Mario Odyssey really revolutionized what 3D platformers are today.
Ooh, now you and I would disagree there.
I know. I've heard your thoughts. I know. I definitely heard your thoughts.
You know what? Hey, to say a nice thing about Mario. This past week, I took my son to the doctor. We're all kind of sick. You hear me? I'm like sniffling and everything. So, we brought the Switch with us. He started to play Mario. Like, that was an interesting thing. My kids didn't try Odyssey. Like, I showed it to them. They're like, that's neat. They're kind of doing other things. They weren't really on it, but I kept pushing it. So we played Mario Odyssey. Interesting thing that I didn't do is I never really played Mario Odyssey portably. I played it always on the screen. It looks really good in portable mode. Like, when I blow it up on my 60th screen, I think it looks okay. But if I'm comparing it versus other portable games on the Switch, it's probably one of the better looking portable titles that the Switch has to offer. Yeah, I think it might look better than Breath of the Wild does in portable mode, because it's not so edgy. Yeah. Like the colors pop. The textures that are in Odyssey are kind of flat and they don't have a lot of detail. So in portable mode, I think they kind of stand out more, if that makes sense. It's like smaller screen, sharper image. Whereas other games, the smaller screen might make it look jaggy or edgy or blurry. So to say a nice thing about Odyssey, I kind of enjoyed it. I was like, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, it does. And I haven't beaten it, so like I don't even know what the ending is. Everyone's talking about it. I heard you say just yesterday, I was listening to your episode.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I skipped it. I heard you say, let me say this. It's been out a while, so I was like, oh, skip. So I skipped it, and I was like, okay, we're good. But I like it. From the moment I turned it on Christmas Day, I got unwrapped under the tree like I wanted. I took it to my parents, and we just chilled all day. And I played it in portable mode, actually, most of the day.
Nice.
Just laying there with headphones. And the game took... I don't see how... If you love nostalgia like me, like I guess you could say I live in the past. I listen to the same old bands I grew up on. I love what I grew up on. And not that I don't enjoy things of today. It's just that I really think there is a value in learning from the past and bringing that to current today.
And appreciating it and noticing it when it's there and seeing how it's been elaborated on and riffed on. Yeah, of course.
So Mario 64 is my personal #1 Mario game of all time. So, and I mean, as soon as I jumped in, I felt Mario 64 all over again. I miss punching and kicking instead of throwing the hat. Personally, I do miss that.
I'm with you there. Yeah.
I want to punch someone, not throw my hat at them, but I've enjoyed it so far. And they took elements of Banjo-Kazooie and put it in this game. If you think about it, it is almost like a Banjo-Kazooie game because in Banjo. Well, you technically have a buddy duo like Kazooie. Your hat is alive; it's another character. and you work together, and they both talk. Well, he talks more than Mario, but they also you can capture anything, so you transform like you could in Banjo-Kazooie. And then I would say that the way you collect the moons in Banjo-Kazooie, you collect and you moved on. You didn't it boots you out the level, and Odyssey,
yep,
you collect and keep going. So
keep going.
There's I think it took a lot of elements from past hit 3D platformers and put it in there, which is something Yooka-Laylee did lack, which, you know, when you want to compare the two. So I didn't mean to turn this whole episode into a 3D
No, it's good. It's good because I felt alone when I ever dared to criticize the great Mario. And I want to make sure that other people get their thoughts heard. And, you know, a lot of people really, really love Odyssey here at PSVG. And it's not that I don't like it. I think it's a great game. I really do. It's a good platformer. I just wasn't, like, awe-inspired. And coming off of the heels of how the Switch and some of their first-party titles have gone, like, I do think maybe my expectations were high. I think the reviews, you know, like the 10s, the perfects, like it really made me go, wow, I can't wait to see it. And I got it, and I was like, really? 10? Like, you know, to me, like the hat mechanic, as I've mentioned before, is just very Kirby. And not that it's bad. I like Kirby games. It's just that it's like, I've done this before. Yeah, I take over this person's powers, and I can do what they do. That's not new.
Right.
You know, just the animation's different.
Sure, totally. And I think really what it's funny how we all have different opinions, and
of course,
like it's funny how what people look for in a game. Like when we talked about Zelda Breath of the Wild when I was on last time with you guys, I gave it like an 8 out of 10. Everyone gave it solid 10 out of 10s, and it's because for me, what I look for in a Zelda game, even though
the narrative.
I want that story.
Yeah.
I want the music. That's what I play Zelda for. I mean, my favorite game in the franchise is Wind Waker, and it's got. If you ever listen to Retronauts, they just did an episode about the Wind Waker. And
I have to do that. Wind Waker's my favorite too.
Yeah,
so
and they talked about how it was the most narrative Zelda game at that time that they had put a story.
I still think
it
is.
Yeah, I love it, and I liked. A lot of people hate Skyward Sword. I liked Skyward Sword because of the story. Thought the story and the music, just like Wind Waker, were phenomenal. Wind Waker is my favorite soundtrack from Zelda, period. But I love that, and the latest Zelda really lacked the story. You even hear people digging on it today, and I was hoping that the DLC would improve that, and it really did not improve the story of Breath of the Wild.
No, I didn't do it. No, I didn't. It didn't do anything.
No, it really didn't. It didn't. I haven't even beaten. I played a little bit of it and I put it away because like I got other stuff I want to play now. So It's not a bad game, and the gameplay is fun. Don't get me wrong. Like you have to improve on the gameplay and what you're playing in the game. But that for me, it lacked those things, so I didn't give it a 10 out of 10. Now Mario Odyssey, I think it does a lot of new things, and I think it does a lot of old stuff, such as when you go into those 2D worlds. Like
that's my favorite part. Yeah, that's my
phenomenal.
favorite part. Yeah, I love that. That Donkey Kong thing, man. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so
really
good.
Cool. Really cool. And plus, not only that, like when you jump in the world, it takes the current world music and turns it 8-bit. You know, like it's those little fine details that until it does that all the time. Like I complain about that with Yooka-Laylee. There's a part where you find Rextra 64ist, who's hilarious, as in like he reminds me of me stuck in the 90s, and they make fun of him for it because he looks like a polygonal 64 character.
Oh, nice.
They tease him all about it, but you play his arcades in the game to like win some pages and stuff. And when I go up to him, you hear retro arcade music playing, but it totally changes the entire mood of the level. All the music that was in the level stops. Mario Odyssey, you jump in those 2D worlds,
and it bends.
It bends it. It just takes. It lets you shows you like, oh wow, this is what this level would have sounded like back in the mid 80s. You know, when old Mario.
I'm not gonna lie, and I said this to the team, I think several times in our Discord chat. I kind of want an entire game out of those Mario Odyssey 2D levels. Like I want the circular, like vertical levels that go up and down with all the old stuff, but in the new style with the new change in the music. I want a Captain Toad 2D Mario game out of those levels. Like that was the first thing I said. That's the Mario game I want.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. I got some
Sure.
things that I got to get down because I want to get onto some news topics or some rumors. You picked a good episode to be on. I love talking speculation, so we're going to get into some of this nostalgia in a bit. But first, I did want to say, while I haven't been playing a whole lot, the little bit that I have been playing, I've been playing on one of these, and that is the 8-bit do Super Nintendo Pro Controller. And I forget exactly what it's called. It's like the 8-bit do 90 or whatever. It's got some code name, but it's the one that it's got the dual triggers. I wanted to give a quick review because I've played a little bit. I played Skyrim on it. I played DBZ, Xenoverse 2, which I've been playing a little bit on the Switch with, and then I also played some Splatoon with it. I thought it would be important to try a shooter with it. It's $50, which is, it's still cheaper than the $70 Pro Controller, but I gotta admit, it doesn't feel like it's that quality that the Pro Controller on the Switch has. It's not that dense, and actually it kind of feels kind of light, lighter than I'd want it to. I do like that it's got really nice clicky buttons, which I really appreciate, and the sticks are the same. It's got a weird situation, not that it really matters, but just in case anybody's thinking about buying one, to sync the controller to the console, you have to hold down the start and the Y button at the same time. It's just odd. Like, you can't press any button, it won't sync. It won't even actually look to sync. You got to hold these two down, and then it'll look to sync, and then it'll sync. The best thing that I can say about this controller is that it's obviously it's smaller than the Pro Controller. And for $12 more, you can actually buy a wireless dongle and use it on your NES and SNES Mini. You can also plug it into a PC and use a PC controller. So it's a little more versatile than Nintendo first-party offerings. But I really enjoy it. So if there's anybody out there, especially retro fans, as we get into some of the news and speculation we might get into, there's the opportunity coming up in the next year that you might be able to play some retro games using one of these, and that's really where its value comes in. So if anybody's out there thinking about getting one, I haven't had any problems with the sync or like the feedback or latency. It works. It works like a controller. It feels like a controller. Nothing like that. So if anybody out there is thinking about having one, I know my kids, they're smaller hands. They prefer this over the Pro Controller. So I wanted to get that out of there. But now, let's get to the point. There have been a lot of rumors in Nintendo land of late. Actually, for really about the past month and a half, I'd say, we've been hearing rumors and murmurings of this mythical Direct that's dropping in January. And then those rumors started to get some headway as people started pointing towards the 11th. Apparently, for some odd reason, everybody thinks this Direct is the 11th, which I believe is a week from now, next Thursday. So maybe next week's Shaq we'll be able to live stream it or talk about it, or at least react to it that same day. That'd be cool. There's all kinds of speculation what's going on. I know our Early Morning Gamer show really ran down all of it. We've heard all kinds of things. We know the games that are coming. We know we're getting Yoshi, Kirby, Fire Emblem. We know those are coming. There's all kinds of speculation on what other games might come. Some of the rumors that have been put out on 4chan and Reddit and things like that, I have no idea how many of these things. I don't really dive in and credit people, but we've heard about a lot of ports. We've heard about GTA 5, Dragon Ball Z Fighters. I'm still going to call it Fighter Z. I know Kyle corrected me and told me it's wrong. I think Fighter Z sounds better, so that's what I'm going to call it. We've heard the Undertale. We've heard Hearthstone. I mean, this is all coming kind of off of the wave. Nintendo just announced that the Switch is, I think, the fastest selling console in, I guess, its first 9 months, 10 months, or first year in history, I guess, for America and the American territory. That's amazing. I think they hit 10 million units. It's not even over yet. They still got to get to March. I mean, they're crushing the Wii U right now. I mean, they're on pace with PS4. I mean, now's the time. Like, there are developers getting games coming over. So I wanted to just kind of talk about some of the rumors, things that you may have heard, Jacob, things that you may want. I also should mention, it was interesting that last week on Amazon, 18 Nintendo Switch titles went up on Amazon with no descriptions, just Switch title 20 through like 28 and 22. Some of them have really high, and they all had different prices, so they didn't look like place marks, right? They weren't all $60. There were $60 titles, $80 titles, $100 titles.
Oh my gosh. All
kinds of speculation happened to go through. I have to be I'm the stupid person. Like, there were several people on Twitter. I'm one of those people that went ahead and pre-ordered the things that I don't even know. I was like, I mean, At first, when I first saw there were people doing that, I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why do you pre-order? You don't even know what it is. And then I saw Wario64 tweet something. He goes, hey, if these are collector's editions and they hold these placings, I'd rather do this now and cancel later than not be able to get one. I was like, that's actually genius.
That's true.
I was like, that's the smartest thing I've ever heard. So I did the same thing. They took the listings down. So like if you try to click to the link, you can't get there. Interesting thing, though, because I'm one of those people that pre-ordered, guess what? My pre-orders are still up. They have not canceled my pre-orders. It's been a week long, and I still have pre-orders for Switch Title 22 and Switch Title 27 and Switch Title 29.
Oh, my gosh.
I'll start. A couple of the bundles, I think there's 2 of them. I think it's 28 and 30 and 29 are priced at $100. I said this on Twitter. I'm willing to bet that that's Fire Emblem Switch Collector's Edition. It's either like a dual pack, like a double release, or something like that, right? You're getting the game, you're getting all the DLC, you're getting cards, you're getting a book and all that. I was like, that makes sense. If we're getting a direct in January and they're going to release some new $100 thing, I could totally see that being, here's the first Fire Emblem for Switch, and maybe it's a dual pack, and it's Fire Emblem Fates and it's Birthright and all that, something like that. So, have you been following any of this news, any of these rumors?
Just bits and pieces of it. I mean, I don't know everything down to the core, but absolutely, I will say that I had heard about the items. I didn't pre-order anything, but I heard about the items, and the latest rumor that I have heard that I have been seeing people talk about is, I think it's like people are thinking that A Link Between Worlds might be getting ported to the Switch.
Let me touch that on that. So it's solely based on a tweet. So there's really no background to this at all. But a Twitter account, @PixelPar, and apparently he has some sort of backing because people follow him in mass. But he says, Nintendo PR reps have been contacting journalists requesting permission to re-quote reviews of A Link Between Worlds for promotional purposes. So you got to think about that. That game was released in 2013. Mm-hmm. Why would they be looking to re-promote that game 4 years from now? So a lot of people speculated maybe it's getting a Switch port. Mm-hmm. I did tweet that out today, and I retweeted the original source. That's an interesting one. It's not my favorite Zelda game. I like it. It took me a long time to beat it, though. Like, when you're talking about like the narrative and everything, like it's just really close to home. Mm-hmm. So like I didn't get it. It took me a minute to beat it. However, without sounding like the just complete homer that I already know I am, I did mention in our Discord chat that I'd be interested in possibly buying that one for no other reason to see it on the big screen. Like putting a 2D Zelda like that, I would imagine that if they did a Switch port, I would hope that they would like graphically enhance it and make it like very sharp, kind of like Blossom Tales. Like I don't want the fuzz and the blur that you get on 3DS. Like when you get that game on 3DS, you expect that and you overlook it. On Switch, I want perfectly crisp 16-bit visuals. Nothing, no edges, no nothing. I want it perfectly crisp. If it does that, I might try it again. Maybe just to walk around again.
I got it for 3DS, and I beat it completely. It was the first time I ever had done. I actually have not beaten Link to the Past on Super Nintendo. It's one of the few Zelda games I've never beaten, and I beat this game, which was like almost a direct sequel. I think to it, and I enjoyed it. I really did. I played it through and through. That was one of my Christmas games at the time, and but I will be honest, I don't really care if this comes to the Switch right now. For me, I like to let things sit after I beat them, and then I let the nostalgia build up, and I let myself forget things. I do it with movies, and I definitely do it with games. And so, for example, like I just replayed Metroid Prime, and Metroid Prime 2 about a year or so ago, and I had it had been probably a decade since I had played those games, and I it's fun because I get to remember, like, I remember this part, and then you start remembering those nostalgic memories, but then you also like completely forget how to do stuff. You're like, oh man, where is this? So I really feel like it really makes the game more enjoyable to replay. I don't feel like there's been a long enough gap for this game, unless I absolutely truly like loved it and it was my top game. I think it's a little too soon. So I have heard the rumor that it's not that game that's being ported, but that there is a style of that game being remade for Link's Awakening, is what I've also heard. So I have heard that rumor.
Nice. Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. But those are mainly the top rumors I've heard. Man, I don't know where this direct is. I hope it's coming.
I think everybody. I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
Every podcast that I've listened to that would know, that would hint to know, that would even inkling to know, they've been saying January for months. Mm-hmm. If it's not January, I'd be shocked.
I think it's coming.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we're getting really close to a year anniversary from when they had the live Switch announcement.
Right.
And I really think the direct is going to be like that. I think we're going to get all these games that we had no clue were being made. Like Mario Odyssey was released or announced last year at this event. We had no clue. Mm-hmm. Nope, not one clue at all. So I think we're going to get a surprises for sure.
I'm going to read some of these rumors. And we can provide a little feedback. And then we're going to stay on the same topic, but I'm going to bend it a bit based on an article that came out from US Gamer. But to cover some of this stuff. All right, so we've got I'm looking at a Game Zone article that kind of did a recap or a mashup of all the rumors that are out there. So I'm going to read off some of the highlights. So over on 4chan, somebody's saying that we're going to see Metroid Prime 4, a trailer. We're going to get something for Luigi's Mansion 3, like an intro screen or something, that they're going to show Fire Emblem Switch. They're going to show Fallout 4, a wonderful 101 port, Bayonetta 3, and Mario Sports. If that all sounds plausible. Nothing that I just saw there sounds crazy. I think it's too early to show Metroid Prime, but if it's like let's say like Odyssey, let's say it's further along than we know. They could totally show us a trailer and it could still be 2 years away.
Absolutely.
That sounds like it could happen. Mm-hmm. The next one says that it begins with Faye, which is that EA game, and Hollow Knight release dates. I don't think that sounds crazy. At first, I was like, those games are too small, but we did have that released marketing graphic from EA that said that they're in the direct, so that makes sense. It goes Yoshi, Kirby, Fire Emblem. Makes sense. We know those games are coming. Mm-hmm. Mario Maker. That's an interesting one, because that's one where that game has so much potential. But to do that outside of the Wii U, I'm interested to see how they can pull that off with the Switch. The Switch's touchscreen, the fact that it's just one screen. How do you do that when it's docked? Is it all motion controls? Is that good? Do we want that game? I wasn't all that keen on making my own Mario levels to begin with. I don't know if I want to make them with motion controls.
I don't want that game right now.
Okay. The next ones were ports of Xenoblade X, Donkey Kong, and Pikmin 4. Or Pikmin 4 would not be a port. That'd be the new one.
I'd be happy with that.
Okay. Now this is where it gets crazy.
Donkey Kong.
Pokemon and online. Any mention of Pokemon in January right now, I'm just that's not happening. It's interesting. Out of all this stuff, and I'm looking at tons, there's only one mention of Virtual Console. And that's that thing that I honestly, the Shack had an episode the last time they did a direct leading up to it where we all laughed. Oh, Virtual Console's totally going to be announced. Could you imagine if they did it? And they totally didn't. At this point, I don't know if we should expect Virtual Console. I don't know.
The one thing I've learned from Nintendo, especially over this past year and going into E3s, is keep your expectations low and managed. And when they go beyond that, you're going to have a heck of a time with that, whatever they announce. So, E3, did we expect 2 Metroid games? Absolutely not. But we got them, and it blew our minds. Exactly.
Yep.
So, whatever happens in this direct, you got to... People are, it's funny. On the flip side of this, a lot of people were like, "We don't know what Nintendo's doing," and what I'm telling you, what have people not learned what the new Nintendo is over this past year? Nintendo, they've done it with the leading up to the Switch. They said, "Hey, you're going to find out when we tell you. You're going to find out. We don't have to tell you, a year in advance about what's coming. They tell us 6 months. I think they have this." I see this routine with them so far. 6 months, they do some big announcement, like their live event, and then they hit E3, and then they released a bunch of other new stuff.
Yep.
We're back to the January.
I think they typically give you one big thing to always be looking for. And what I mean by that is like everybody knows Metroid Prime 4 is coming. Nobody knows when it's coming. Nobody's expecting it to come soon. But just like they did with Breath of the Wild on Wii U, they go, hey, here's that big game that you want. It's coming eventually. And then they kind of hit you with these mid-tier titles to feed you along the way. But the whole time, we're all looking at that big star in the sky going, we'll just keep going because that big one's down the pipe.
Exactly.
There are rumors, and there have been rumors for what I feel like it's like 2 years, ever since they did the Earthbound Beginnings, that Mother 3 has been localized and they're just sitting on it. There is a Reddit rumor, which is in this article, that I really enjoy, and it mentions Mother 3 dropping this year. I wanted to mention that because Kevin loves Earthbound so much. It's all he wants is Mother 3. I've never met a louder group of small people. Kevin's the only Earthbound fan that I know. And when I mean fan, I don't mean like, I like Earthbound because it's cool to say I like Earthbound. I mean like, can tell you about all the characters and conversations in the game. He's played it over and over again. Like, he totally is an Earthbound fan.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting. But this last one is Virtual Console, Metroid Prime 4, Wario heading to 3DS. I like that, at least in these rumors, even if they're completely wrong, I love that somebody put a 3DS something in there. It just makes it seem legitimate. I'm like, oh, that sounds right.
Yeah, it does.
GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption ports. Now, hang on. We're going to come back to that in a minute. Just put that aside. Injustice 2, totally, yes. Wii U got Injustice. I got that. Call of Duty, maybe. I mean, they did Call of Duty on Wii U. I think they want to put Call of Duty on Switch. I'm just interested to see how much Call of Duty the Switch can do. Yeah. I would kind of see a port maybe, but we'll see. Undertale, perfect fit. And then the big one, this person says, Animal Crossing to release next year will be shown in this direct. And we're hot off the heels of Pocket Camp. Everybody wants it.
It's true.
Is now the right time to show it, or do they hold it?
Here's my thing. I don't think Nintendo doesn't like to do these things where they're going to talk about what's coming next year. So I don't think we're going to hear anything about what's coming in 2019, unless they showed us Prime 4. So unless that is like a kind of that like Breath of the Wild, like here's the carrot kind of thing. You're not going to get it.
Maybe it's like holiday 2018, like as in next like a year from now.
I could see that. I could see if there is a big game, holiday. But I think they like to. Well, that's what they did with Mario Odyssey January last year. That was the big piece of cake that we waited.
They could just do a trailer of Isabelle, Animal Crossing, blah 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 blah. Yeah. Holiday 2018. Come to E3 for more details. That could be like the one more thing at the end. Okay, so we're on par, right? Like, most of this stuff sounds right. Now I want to bend the conversation because we had a really fun debate on Discord about this.
Okay.
US Gamer ran an article that we retweeted this week called 2018 will be the year of the Switch port. You're seeing in these rumors GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption, Fallout. We've already seen it with Rayman, Mario Kart Deluxe. Even though they got battle maps, I'm calling that it is a port. Bayonetta 1 and 2. We're seeing these ports come over. There are two camps within the PSVG family. There's the Kevin camp of old game is old, give me new games. I don't want the old games. And then there's the Donnie camp. I love ports. I've always loved ports. I don't just love Nintendo ports. I love ports on everything. I still buy 360 games on my Xbox One. That's one of my biggest problems with PS4. I wish I could buy PS2 games, like all of them. I love collecting games, right? So that's first and foremost. I love having all the games that I want to have in as few places as possible. So anytime I upgrade to a new system, if I can bring the highlights with me that I want to bring with me, I'm always a fan of that. I'm always a fan of having more games than no games. It was one of the arguments that I made to Kevin. I was like, have you forgot the Wii U already? The Wii U could have used some ports.
It absolutely could have, yeah. It did have some ports, some HD remakes.
Yes, exactly. There you go. So just globally, What do you think about this idea of all these ports? And like, and in the article, they mentioned the Mega Man Legacy Collection, Skyrim, all of these games that companies are porting over to the Switch. I mean, how do you feel just about if 2018 is the year of ports? Let's say the next year we just get 100 games that have already been pre-released somewhere. Does that bother you?
Well, from a third-party standpoint, not necessarily, because Nintendo, as Nintendo fans, especially if you're like me and I only play Nintendo. I grew up with it. That's all I play. So they're like I got Skyrim for the first time, and I've really enjoyed it.
That's crazy.
So, yeah. This past November, that was my first time ever seeing Skyrim, the world of Skyrim, playing it. So it was all foreign to me, and it was exciting. Now I don't play games like Grand Theft Auto, but do I want it on Nintendo? Yeah, because I want third parties and that crowd to be able to buy into that. Because I hate it so much when a game like the Batman Arkham games, when they first came out, PlayStation, Xbox, not Nintendo. They've now eventually, a couple of them came over on the Wii U, and I bought them and I played the crud out of them. I loved the Batman Arkham games.
Mm-hmm.
So I hate seeing games get released and it goes to everywhere but Nintendo.
Right.
Especially like little niche games like Ninja Turtles. I know they haven't had a great game in a while, but
the one that I always remember is with like that Disney TV collection.
Yep.
It came out last year. Like, why isn't that on Switch? It's
right.
Perfect.
Absolutely. So I'm okay with specific games. Now, I think I fall right in the middle of you guys. Like, yeah, I want new. I'd rather have Pikmin 4 instead of Pikmin 3, although I do think Pikmin 3 should come on there. I do believe I know we are getting Wonderful 101. I mean,
they've been hinting at that forever.
They tweeted out a photo of the characters holding a Switch. So that is coming. I expect that. I think from Nintendo themselves, I think we will get a trickle effect so we can get a major game release every month, just like they did. I think that's their plan. So Bayonetta, I think that holds the February slot, I believe.
Yep.
Those two games. I don't know what holds for January, but I think this Direct, we're going to get one of those. This game's coming this month, and people are going to be like, what? And we, like you said, we know Fire Emblem, Yoshi, and Kirby. Unfortunately, I think Yoshi and Kirby are going to take up 2-month slots, which doesn't excite me too much because in my mind, those are more like B-tier games.
Yeah, they are.
Which, like on the Wii U, they were like A-tier games because we were just thirsty for video games on the Wii U. But on the Switch, it's a different story. So I think they'll take up 2-month slots. I wouldn't mind some. I really want Tropical Freeze to get a second chance.
My man, it's so good.
It's phenomenal. It has David Wise doing the music. Donkey Kong Country is my favorite Nintendo series to this day. I love all the Donkey Kong games. So I really want Donkey Kong to get a second chance. Because it was amazing, but it did not sell that well, and that's because the Wii U sells. And I hope Nintendo sees that. I think they do, and I think they'll bring it over. I think they'd be silly not to. So I want a port of that. Now, I don't necessarily want a port of, like some people are like, oh, let's port Wind Waker HD over. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Wind Waker HD, and it would be pretty sweet to play that portably, wouldn't it? I mean, we both love it.
I've been saying since the Switch started that I want in my Donnie's perfect world, I would get the Zelda HD collection, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess on one cart. Now, I'm not too stupid to know that Nintendo knows they make hand over fist by just releasing them both. And we're gonna pay for them twice. But in a perfect world, I want that cover, that disc, like that box of it cut in half, and Toon Link and Twilight Link. Oh. Yes,
that would be that'd be beautiful. My thing is, I just don't see Nintendo doing that so soon with those games. I just don't. I don't know how realistic it is. Again, like I said, Nintendo can do whatever the heck they want. They've shown us that this past year. They'll do whatever. One thing that gets me excited, though, and that makes these rumors harder to disprove, is that Nintendo, it was quoted themselves. I don't know where I saw it, but it was online. The internet always tells the truth, right? But it was then someone from Nintendo quoted that they are working on games that they think no one's even thinking of, that you've forgotten about. So when you bring up Wario, the guy who does our art on our show, Kyle Martin, he loves Wario. Like,
yeah, man, I love Wario. Kevin loves Wario. I mean, the people I think that played some of the Wario,
Wario's adventure games are really fun.
Yeah.
You know, like Wario's kind of been tied to this, you know, his mini game collection and the WarioWare stuff. Which,
I like
don't
the
get me
WarioWare
wrong,
stuff too.
they're fun and wacky.
Yeah.
But like, I grew up on that Game Boy Wario Land, and that was so different from Mario. And Wario is really cool, and I think they could do a lot of fun stuff with him. And that's what I love about the Switch more than anything. Not to go on a tangent, is that like I just feel like the Switch opened this door to like, let's look at the past and bring it back. Because when Nintendo's successful, they can do that. They can make a Wario game, even though it's not going to be their top seller. They can make Wario Land games, or they can take a risk and make this kind of game when their platforms are successful.
Sure.
Where have you the Wii U? They got to play, you know, they got to play really strict, close to the cards, and not make such risky moves. But yeah, so I could see stuff like Wario. I could see that being true. I've been hearing Luigi's Mansion 3 for a long time. I've been hearing that that's been in development right along with the Metroid. So I really believe we will get a Luigi's Mansion game. So if I had to guess, I think the most probable games to come that we'll hear about this year is I think we'll get a Luigi's Mansion 3, and I think we'll definitely get a Pikmin 4.
Okay.
The
Pikmin
totally
thing we've known forever. Like Miyamoto all but confirmed last year it was done. He's like, we're done with this game. So it probably just got shifted to Switch along the way because it was done for Wii U. And then somebody was probably like, we should probably move this to Switch.
Yep.
All right. One question that I had, because a rumor came up about this one, and this is an interesting one. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I just want to hit you with this. One of the rumors said Star Fox Zero without motion controls. What do you think?
Ooh.
Good? Bad? Don't care?
Totally good. I mean, some people say the game wasn't fun in general.
I did not like that game. The moment you stopped flying in that game, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And it might be because of the motion controls. I don't know. Okay. But the moment I started walking around and getting out, I was like, I don't know. This is not Star Fox. It's not fun. I don't enjoy it. And I just...
I liked Star Fox. Like, it was only fun when you played with a friend. That's how I played it. I bought it for my best friend, Traven, and we played through it together. And that was because you both can shoot. So you're not just mimicked to just the gimmick of the game with the gamepad. I actually really would like that. I would like for it to get a second chance because I want Star Fox to exist. I don't want it to suck and Nintendo doesn't, they just say we're done with it, Like I really want it to exist. And if it can be successful, I think that, take away the
I think the
controls.
best way for them to be successful is to do a new game and not release Star Fox Zero. I think
I can see that.
Even if they try to fix Star Fox Zero, it's got bad juju, it's got bad word of mouth. Just new slate, right? Clean slate. Mm-hmm. I think they should do something smaller, bite-sized Star Fox experience, right? Like maybe you drop a level for like $7.99 or something like that. Just do something different with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And get people saying good things about Star Fox again, and then bring it back. Like I don't think taking this game that nobody liked for the most part, that had so much bad press, and then bringing it back is good for your console that has all the great press in the world and is selling like gangbusters. It's like
that's true.
It's just a bad. Yeah, I just like you're asking for those bad blogs and those bad tweets to be written, right? So I didn't like that idea. So we're almost 50 minutes. We're about to sign off here. I did want to touch on the Rockstar stuff. Rockstar did the LA Noire. Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming out this year. There's no doubt in my mind that Red Dead Redemption 2 is probably going to stress and max the powers of the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. I don't think it can run on Switch, and I don't think they're going to bring it to Switch. I love the idea, though, of them getting GTA 5 and or Red Dead Redemption to Switch before Red Dead 2 comes out, or at least talking about it. I think that's amazing. I think GTA 5 is probably the game of the generation. I think it's like that or Destiny. But I would lean towards GTA 5. I think it's one of the best made video games of all time. Like the amount of things you can do in that world and the way it works and all that. If you could play that in the palm of your hands, even though it's old game, that is such a system seller. I could see so many people that are playing GTA Online being like, oh, totally, I got to buy a Switch so I can play it at work now. I could see people moving for that. Like that's a big deal. I would I would totally rebuy that and play it over. We got tweets about that when I sent that out, and people were like, I know people think old game is old. They're like, but dude, I love GTA. And I was like, you should be excited. Like, if you could, I don't know if they can. I think they can. I don't know if they can. But if they get a GTA 5 on Switch, yeah, I'm buying that at full price. I don't care. Like, that's a really good game.
I mean, it's no different than, people freak out about games for, like we talked about, Virtual Console or the SNES Classic and the NES Classic. It's no different with that.
No.
I was playing my 3DS a year ago, I remember, and I was thinking, like, man, I wish, like, Nintendo, I was thinking about Banjo, and I said, man, I wish Nintendo owned Banjo today, because, like, I would love to play Banjo. Like, I was sitting in my car before work, just, like, in the dark. I had, like, a half hour till I had to go in.
Sure.
I was like, dude, I would love to play Banjo-Kazooie right here in my car. That'd be freaking awesome, Heck yeah, any game on the go. What I love about the Switch is I like to play on my TV the most.
I've kind of transitioned to that as I've just been busy at work. It's been a busy season at work. Like, I can't play like I used to, like on my lunch. I don't really even have lunch breaks anymore. So I've been playing at home. Yeah, and I
enjoy that. But what I think the true joy with the Switch is that it's not the fact that it is a portable set. It's the fact that I can literally. It's doing what the Wii U should have done. What the Wii U made you think. Like, I can take my gamepad and I can come into my office and I can edit and upload stuff for, like, my podcast and just sit here and play while things are uploading,
Yep.
Or
you can do a MUDs level or something. Yes. No, I'm 100% with you. Yeah, that's the sell on it. That's the great stuff, man. Splatoon map.
Oh, yeah, those little things, man. And, like, if we're going to go down to my in-laws who live an hour away, hop in the car, and it's great. I can keep playing it. Or take it to the bedroom because the wife wants to watch a movie or whatever. You know what I mean?
I did want to say on the port front, to back up Kevin's point, or not really, he didn't make this point, but I think it kind of goes along the line of his thinking. I do think there is, I would say diminishing returns, but that's not really the best way. So, like, right now we're seeing all of these indies, especially from Steam, get their games to Switch as fast as possible. I think we're going to start seeing these ports come. I think it's great for the system to get these ports because they're opening them up to a whole new market like you, because Nintendo does Nintendo and Nintendo fans do Nintendo. So, like, there's a whole new bunch of people probably never played GTA or Skyrim because they never owned a system that could. I think this is good. However, as the numbers go up, the market gets less, right? It spreads out. So you're not going to find as much success if you're on the tail end of this port rush. Right, so if you wait until the end of this year as opposed to getting on the front end of this year, just like Yooka. By the time Yooka came, I already had 20, 30 other indie titles that I was playing that I was trying to beat. I had all these other first-party games. Like, you gotta get there before it gets too late. Because the longer you wait, there are 20 and 25 games dropping on the system every week. Like, people are going to move on, your market's shrinking. So I think in that regard, I do think you could get to the point where you have, now I won't say too many games because I firmly believe that a system can never have too many games. But what I think we could see is a developer puts a game on Switch. They don't like that it doesn't sell as much as they think it does. And then they say, we're not going to do something because it didn't sell that much on Switch. And it's like, well, you put the game on the system that had 600 games and your game isn't as good as the 100 that dropped in the same month yours dropped, that's on you. It's not on the system. You picked bad
100%.
Timing, so I think that could happen. All right. We're about to sign off. Jacob, I want to give you a chance to tell our listeners everything that you do and where you're from, where they can find you. But first, I want to ask you a question. If you could make a prediction, next week we get a Nintendo Direct, what makes you jump out of your chair? What's your, oh my God, I can't wait. Now, I want you to do twofold, though. I need you to give me one game that would be a port, at least one game that would be a port. I need you to give me a new Switch game.
So do you want like a realistic answer?
I don't care. Let's just Nintendo Shack, man. Tell the Nintendo fan what would make you go, oh my God.
Okay, I got 3 games here. Okay,
go.
I got. Either we get a brand new Donkey Kong Country game with the Kremlings back,
nice.
HD.
I like it.
I would jump out of my seat.
Yeah,
and freak
I'm down
out.
for Donkey Kong right now. Let's do it.
Whether it's a side scroller or it's a 3D Donkey
side
Kong
scroller
platform, either one. I would love them both.
Both 3D world with side scrolling levels.
Now I've been calling this game for the past year, and I want a true successor sequel to Diddy Kong Racing. I would freak out if we got a Diddy Kong Racing sequel.
I think they should make that a DLC pack for Mario Kart. I'm not lying. I've been saying it for a long time. $29.99. Here's 10 new maps, 5 new battle maps. Here's all the Diddy Kong characters. You can do planes now. It's all Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I would go bananas. I would go bananas.
I would go bananas too. So those two, I would freak out. Okay. A port.
Give me a port.
Do you want to be a Nintendo port or a third-party port?
Tell me a port. It's a port that would make you that you would buy instantly if they put it on the system.
I want a Ninja Turtles collection port. That's what I want. I
want
all the Ninja Turtle games as a collection, like we got the Mega Man, all those stuff.
Yeah.
That is what I have been wanting for the longest time. Ninja Turtles collection. Right
okay. There. The game that would get me the most excited, and I'm not going to lie, and I think a lot of people could already guess this, if they bust out a new Mario Golf game, I'd be so over the moon and so excited. I'm just going to come on the podcast and scream for 60 minutes. I'm just like, I want Mario Golf on Switch for portable. I want Mario Golf on Switch for like beautiful HD. Like I want it for all of it. Like the Switch is my favorite Mario Golf machine that I could think about. The game that I think is most possible, that's a port that I would love to happen right then and there. Tell me what you think. NES Remix available right now. I'd buy in that right now. $9.99. Here's NES Remix on Switch. Bam. I'm all about it. I'm like, yep. I've already played the game on Wii U. Totally going to play it again. All about it. I think it would be great. Especially, let's say Virtual Console is like, let's say they go, Virtual Console is coming out winter 2018. And everybody's all like, oh, I want it out now. And they go, but NES Remix is out right now. It'd be even amazing if they went, but SNES Remix is out right now. Yes. That one would do it.
SNES Remix, I could see. NES, so NES Remix, wouldn't really care too much for.
Okay. All right. Jacob, let everybody know who you are, where they can find you, and how they can follow you.
Yes, I am Jacob. I'm one of the 3 hosts now for Nintendo Nostalgia. We are on Facebook. You can type us up, Nintendo Nostalgia. We have a picture of a Super Nintendo. We're in our 2nd season as a show. And we have a community group that you can ask to join, and we'll accept you in there. We're a friendly podcast, just like PSVG here is. And, so our show is pretty clean. It is very clean. But we just like to have a good time and talk about, we try to capture people's nostalgia and take them back in time and make them remember those key moments of like specific games or with a system. And we talk about where we were at that time and our first experiences, like Mario 3, when where I was when I played that. What do I specifically remember about
when that sun came down and started hunting you? Oh man, I'll never
forget that.
It's like, well, the sun moves.
Exactly, I freaked out, man. And we got stories like that, and we tell about our stories, and then we also just talk about the game in general and where you can find the game today, and what we hope for the future of. Would we like another Mario 3 style game? I know you just said you would, and things like that, So we talk about it's all Nintendo. It's a Nintendo strictly show for us, but and we talk about what we're into, obviously current stuff. But the whole key is it's really kind of crazy how we started out. We started and we're born from this frustration of these Nintendo fanboys that were the Nintendo fanboys, frustration of everyone dogging and hating Nintendo, and because they went through dog days, and no offense, but you're wearing a Browns shirt.
Oh right man, now. I know the torture's so hard.
But you are a Browns fan through and through.
Can't shake
it. Colts sign. I am a Colts fan through and through. We've had a lot of success, obviously, but we've had some dog years recently. We just fired our head coach. But I am not a bandwagon fan, and I will stand by my team, win or loss. And that's a true fan. That's how I am with Nintendo. So we were born out of these rough years where it was like, man, I just want people to remember what it was like when they loved Nintendo and how they're still this awesome company that made these things. So we try to connect them to the past and show them what Nintendo is doing today and have them join us now. So that's what we do. Our show is on iTunes and on Google Play, and we're just now. It's not 100% up yet, but we will have all episodes on YouTube as well. That's nice. Something we're really pushing a YouTube presence this year.
Sure.
So we're excited about that. We're also with dayspace.com. That's our host website. But yeah, on Instagram, Nintendo Nostalgia IN. If you want to follow us there, we're on Twitter. So that's where you can follow us and come check out the show. We'd love to have you entertain the community, and you can call the show. We have a hotline. We play people's thoughts and memories on the show and play it back and talk about them. It's really fun to hear other people's stories and nostalgia of a specific game. So
yep.
It's real fun. We really have a good time. You can find me personally though at NoshJacob73 on Twitter, on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook, and I'll accept your friend requests as long as you promise not to be some weirdo or anything. So that's fine with me there.
Well, Jacob, thank you for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. And sorry Jason couldn't make it, but we'll bring you back when Jason can for sure.
Hey, dude, it's all good. I mean, I would be okay if we get that direct next week. If you want to have me back, we can talk about it.
Man, I'm sure the other PSVG folks would fight you for the chair.
Oh, now they want to come to the party.
There you go. Now everybody wants to be part of the Jack. That's it. I'm Donnie Reese at Play Nintendo on Twitter. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Nintendo Shack, proud member of the PSVG Podcast Network. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Join us on our Discord. Our links on our website. Click the purple banner. Automatic invite. That's it. That's all you got to do. Just click the link and you join right in. We chat video games like all the stuff we talked about today in Discord all day long. So if you're wanting to get away, escape your work life for a few minutes, that's what we're there for, and we're happy to have you. And my new thing this year, 2018 rollover new leaf, is instead of plugging the Discord and YouTube and stuff every day, I'm going to ask that you tell a friend. Tell a friend about the PSVG podcast. It's one podcast feed. We've got countless amount of shows. Too many shows at this point. But what we really enjoy is that you come for one show and maybe you listen to a new one. Maybe you find another one. And every day there's something there. Maybe you don't listen every day. That's fine, but we're there for you every day. So if you need somebody to go to work with, PSVG's got you covered. So tell a friend, let somebody know, hey, type PSVG into your podcast app. You just might like it. So anyways, thank you for coming back to the Nintendo Shack. And as we say here in PSVG land, remember, boys and girls, never stop gaming.
Peace.